I feel like there's this, this is a two-part question. The first part is how did you land representation? I guess whether the first time or your current one, unless they're the same. Because I feel like there's kind of this assumption that once a writer lands representation, it's going to be all good from there, and they're going to do the work and they're going to find me jobs and all that. And I'm wondering what the reality of that is.
Well, I'm on my fourth agent in my career in 21 years, so that tells you my relationship. Fortunately, I've only had one wife, but
that is good.
Yeah, it averages out. Most writers I know got their first job without representation. Through connections, through people that read scripts, through meeting people, through writers who asked to read, or through producers who read them without representation. So I often get asked, how do I get representation? You get representation by writing a great script. And then that script works its way up. And all of us are desperate and really want to find great writers that we can eventually then pass on to our reps. But I'll only send maybe one or two writers to my reps each year. It's a pretty high bar. So our job, Rob and I got our agent because some of the writers we were working with were reading our scripts. This one writer really liked it, passed on to his agent who was at CAA. There was another agency at the time, UTA, that was interested in us. We ended up going with CAA and worked with them for 6 or 7 years till Rob and I split. Rob and I split our deals, not out of animosity, but after the third season of 70 Show, we were able to split our deals, went on to write separately. We ran the show together, but not officially as a team, and then we both continued to write separately, which was always our plan at the beginning. We liked each other's writing. We decided we wanted to write together in order to get work together, and then eventually went. So when people ask me that question, the answer is write a great script, and then you have to have a second one that's just as good, because if an agent or manager did want to read your stuff, they're going to say, what else do they have, even if the first script is the best script they've ever read. This is in TV specifically. Feature, you can get by on that one great script. And look, I say to people, enter contests, network and enter contests, and no matter where you live, if you write to me and say, hey, I just was a finalist in Scriptapalooza, or my script was honorable mention in Final F, that puts it to the top of the pile. That is something. That's validation for you that says to me, somebody is saying this script is better than the others. But I've never been satisfied with my representation. I think I'm the kind of person who would rather just represent myself, but the system works this way. I just never trust they're working as hard for me as I'd be working for myself. What I realized once about my manager is that a manager can only fight so hard for his or her client because they have to keep the relationship with the person on the other end of the phone that they're talking to. So if I'm on the if I work for a show for a couple of years and they're kind of on the fence, or they decide they don't want me back, I want that manager to fight to fight for me. But they're playing this weird thing because they're going to call them tomorrow and try to pitch them another writer for the same job and have to be polite. So that's kind of a problem with the system. Yes, but if you can get representation, and you can through some of these contests and other things, and networking, being here, getting your script in the hands of people who will ask to read it or not. And if they think it's good, they'll eventually pass it on. I passed on, I read a script by a woman who was one of the funniest scripts I'd ever read. And she was already repped, actually, but her sister is also a great writer, and I want to help her get represented because she's in that top 3 or 4%. So it's not the be all and end all. And I actually think, how do I get representation is, I stop myself from discounting the writer who asked that question because the question needs to be, how do I write a better script? And that's what you should be thinking about. And then, if you write the best script ever written, it will work its way through the system because we're all looking for those great scripts, and eventually it'll get to the right people.